Operation Epic Fury. The Trump administration has dropped a hammer on Iran, and it's glorious. The blockade is now fully implemented. Every single Iranian port cut off from the world, and Treasury Secretary Bessent just announced that they're not renewing a single oil waiver for Iran or Russia. But here's what the fake news won't tell you. Iran made what Bessent is calling a potentially fatal mistake, and now their own Arab neighbors are turning on them. Stephen Miller says this is checkmate, a checkmate move that resets American power for the next 100 years. Is the Iranian regime about to collapse? Well, think about what this means for you. You see, for years we watched the previous administration send pallets of cash to Iran, let them fund terrorists, and look the other way while they enrich uranium. You paid for that weakness at the gas pumps. You paid for it with American soldiers in harm's way. And now, President Trump's flipped the script entirely. The blockade means Iran cannot sell its oil to anyone. Their economy is being strangled while America is energy dominant. Your family's security just got stronger because the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism is being brought to its knees. And here's what's incredible. The Gulf states that Iran actually bombed are now cooperating with us to freeze the bank accounts of Iranian leadership. The regime's own neighbors want them gone. It's not just foreign policy. This is the end of Iranian aggression funding, which means less money for Hezbollah, less money for Hamas, and a safer world for your children. And speaking of American strength, here's another massive story breaking right now out about securing America's future. The White House just announced over $30 billion to secure America's critical mineral supply chains. They named a specific Alaskan project, the Palmer Project, as a key strategic asset for U.S. mineral independence. Now, I've personally been to the Vizsla copper drilling site myself, the one that's in Canada. I've seen it with my own eyes, and what's happening right now with Palmer in Alaska is bigger than most people realize. President Trump just unveiled Project Vault, the $12 billion strategic minerals reserve designed to stockpile essential resources and keep America strong. This is exactly the kind of forward thinking that makes America energy and resource independent. Vizsla Copper trades in the U.S. under VCUFF and in Canada as VCU.V. So check the exclusive briefing to see why this company is positioned at the center of America's mineral independence strategy. Now back to the Iran blockade, because what Stephen Miller just said about this is incredible. And this is what the panicking establishment does not want you to understand. Stephen Miller laying it out perfectly. President Trump has put Iran in a box where every path leads to an American victory. If Iran takes a deal, great for the world. If they refuse, economic strangulation continues and the regime crumbles. There really is no escape hatch. While the critics screamed about Venezuela being a disaster, that turned out to be one of the greatest foreign policy maneuvers in history. The same people are panicking now. And Miller's message is clear. Never listen to a panicking establishment. Check it out. Here he is speaking with Jesse Waters.
The president had no plan to secure the strait, and looks like it's going pretty well.
Never listen to a panicking, Jesse. You will do very well in life. Ignore the panicins, right? They were the ones who warned of calamity in Venezuela and ended up being one of the greatest single foreign policy, military, geopolitical maneuvers in world history. What you're watching now in Iran with the implementation of this blockade is the total resetting of the American power dynamic for the next 100 years. President Trump is saying, we, the United States, have the world's not just most powerful military, most powerful navy. And whoever controls the seas is able to control the outcomes in any foreign policy showdown. And so President Trump has put Iran in a box. He's played the checkmate move. And so now, no matter what path Iran chooses, America wins. If Iran chooses the path of a deal, then that's great for the world. That's great for everybody. If Iran chooses the path of economic strangulation by blockade, then the world will pass Iran by. New energy routes will be established. New supply chains will be established. Other nations throughout the region, throughout the world, and especially America, will power the world, and Iran will become a footnote. So that's the choice Iran has, and President Trump has put America into a win-win posture.
A win-win posture, baby. Let's go. Let's frickin' go. Stephen Miller claims Trump's blockade is a checkmate. Now Trump sounds off on NATO's inaction.
For the country and for the world. You know, we've had no help, zero from NATO. We're there for them. They're not there for us. We spend, you saw the chart that came out a couple of days ago, with a big monster red ball, that was us, and all these little satellite balls, and it represented the money spent on military and NATO. And it's ridiculous. And they should have been better. They should have said, we'll send somebody. It's a small operation compared to a big operation. But NATO was not there for us. And what it means, if they're not there for us here, they're not going to be there for us. So why are we spending hundreds of billions of dollars a year on NATO if they're not going to be with us? If they're not going to be with us on Iran, they're not going to be with us on a much bigger subject than Iran.
Trump calling out NATO. The White House adds clarity to the blockade. This is from the press briefing room today. Let's check in with the press secretary.
We'll never set timelines on behalf of the President of the United States, but with respect to the blockade, as you know, it has been fully implemented, and it's being enforced against vessels of all nations entering or departing Iranian ports. I want to make that point clear. I've seen some misreporting on that as well. This includes all Iranian ports on the Arabian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman. And our U.S. forces in the region are supporting the freedom of navigation for vessels that are transiting the strait to and from non-Iranian ports. So I know some in the press were confused about that. We are supporting the freedom of navigation, just not with respect to any tanker or vessel that would benefit the economy of Iran as these negotiations continue.
As the press secretary outlines the blockade in full swing, Secretary Scott Bessent makes it clear there's no oil leak for Iran. His announcement on Russian and Iranian oil trade stops is next.
Considering any more sanctions relief, Mr. Secretary, for countries that are suffering right now in order to get more oil to your allies?
We will not be renewing the general license on Russian oil, and we will not be renewing the general license on Iranian oil. Because again, that was oil that was on the water prior to March 11th.
Right.
So all that has been used.
All that's been used. He's setting a firm line on the sanction. Now he details how Iran's aggression may backfire economically.
Yeah, I think that's not a correct characterization. Yesterday, we announced Operation Economic Fury, and we, for over a year, we have had maximum pressure on the Iranians, both on blocking payments into the Iranian state and going after the accounts of the IRGC. One of the what may prove to be fatal mistakes that the Iranians made was bombing their GCC neighbors, and who are now willing to be much more transparent in terms of the funds or do a deeper dive in investigating the funds that are held within their banking systems. So we have pushed out to them the request that we want to freeze more funds of the leadership of the IRGC and any members of Iranian leadership. The other thing that we have done is we have told countries that if you are buying Iranian oil, that if Iranian money is sitting in your banks, we are now willing to apply secondary sanctions, which is a very stern measure, and the Iranians should know that this is going to be the financial equivalent of what we saw in the kinetic activities.
The financial equivalent of the kinetic activities. Oh my God. All right, this is the moment, folks. Treasury Secretary Bessent announced Operation Economic Fury. Revealed they've had maximum pressure on Iran for over a year, blocking payments and hunting down IRGC accounts worldwide. But Iran's bombing of their GCC neighbors, that was the mistake. Now Saudi Arabia, UAE, other Gulf states are opening their banking systems to help us freeze Iranian assets. They're applying secondary sanctions on anyone buying Iranian oil. The regime thought they could intimidate their neighbors. Instead, they united them against Tehran. President Trump didn't just implement a blockade, he built a coalition that Iran's own aggression created. This is what American leadership looks like. And you know what President Trump said about NATO? They gave us zero help on this operation, zero. He showed a chart with America as the massive red ball of military spending surrounded by tiny NATO countries. He's absolutely right to ask, if they won't stand with us against Iran, what are we paying for? This is the leverage we need to finally get fair treatment from our so-called allies. And the Trump doctrine is very simple. America first, strength through action, and no more getting played by freeloaders. So I ask you this, do you think NATO needs to step up or get out? Let me know in the comments below. And if you haven't done so yet, text raw feed to 844-840-4963. Make sure we're still connected. This is an exclusive notification line that we have set up just for you when the YouTube notifications fail. Make sure you share this video so others can see the truth the mainstream media is hiding. And check out the Next News merch shelf below this video and show your support for independent journalism. Hit the subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, because the establishment is panicking and we're just getting started. I'm Gary Franchi for the Next News Network. Stay informed and stay free.
The system controls information. Information control is power.
They don't want you to see this.
The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now.